Marquis, you talked a little bit this morning about Felipe Alou and what he meant to your career. A lot of the players alluded to him as really helping to mold or shape the way that they ended up becoming as Major League Baseball players. Was he the most important guy, perhaps, in your career while you were in the big leagues?
No doubt whatsoever. Coming up through the Expos organization, we had a great scouting department. We had great coaches. I'm talking about a lot of great coaches. Look at the guys that moved on, Kevin Malone, Frank Wren, Eddie Creech, all those guys. They're still in the game of baseball. And it was just an unbelievable feeling to be able to play for him. Once he got the job, he grabbed the team and took control and headed us in the right direction. And you get a guy like Felipe who's played in the big leagues numerous years, had great numbers. All of a sudden, coaches 15, 20 years after that, 30, 40 years of baseball experience, how could you not respect that guy and give him your all every time you hit the field? So that's the way I felt about Felipe Alou. And, when things went right with me, he did, get on me and, lit that fire up under me to keep me going. And that's what I love about the guy. And like I said in the meeting today, he come back 10 years later and wanting me to be on his team after I'm 10 years older. So I just, I took my hat off to Felipe Alou. He's one of the greatest manager ever managed a baseball team.
You mentioned Kevin Malone, who's with you there, and you told a great story today that many people just didn't know. That first of all, that he was a first base coach, and second of all, that he helped you as a youngster.
Yes, sir. Jamestown, New York. When I first got drafted, I went to short A ball in Jamestown, New York, and Kevin Malone was the first base coach. And there again, I struggled and couldn't make that transition from aluminum to wood. That was a big thing for me. I just couldn't do it. And finally, one day, I told myself, if I don't get in here today, I'm going home. And he convinced me to stay out there and just keep working at it. And all of a sudden, it turned around. I think I went 32 days straight with at least 2 hits or more and ended up hitting 323 that year. So I give a lot of credit to Kevin Malone and Felipe Alou for having a great impact on my career.
Marquis Grissom joining us here on the program, former Montreal Expos player, won the World Series, of course, with the Atlanta Braves in 1995. Marquis, you also have something of a project or a second career down there, in addition, of course, to still being involved in Major League Baseball as a coach. Tell me about the Marquis Grissom Baseball Association, which, by the way, is mgba.org.
That's correct. When I retired from baseball, I really didn't know what I wanted to do, and I had some ideas about teaching baseball, coaching baseball. Do I want to, do something else? But as I thought about it after I retired, baseball is something that I love. Baseball is something that I'm a professional at, and I really need to pass this information on to little kids, adults, high school kids, college kids, major leaguers, anybody that I could, so I could grow. I want to grow as a teacher or a learner and be able to help people, because so many people impacted my career. I feel obligated to go back and pass the information on and help somebody else. So, that's what I did. I started my Marquis Grissom Baseball Association, and where I'm mentoring kids, tutoring kids. It's about education. It's not all about baseball. It's about raising fine young men. And the guys that come through the academy or the association, they may not all make it to the big leagues, but you know what? When they come out of the academy, they will be professionals.
And what is the Smoltz Grissom Wood Bat Classic?
Smoltz Grissom, we started that in 1990, I think, 91, 92. I take that back. We started in 1995 after the World Series. Smoltz, of course, lived up north, and I lived down south. So he was talking about the players up north, and I'm talking about the players down south. So we had this tournament where he got 50 teams from up north for Georgia, and I got 50 teams from down south for Georgia, and we competed. And we called it the Smoltz Grissom Wood Bat Classic, and it was an outstanding tournament. Teams from all around the country would come and play, and we're 15 years in now. This will be our 15th annual Smoltz Grissom Wood Bat Classic.
Marquis, we thank you so much for joining us tonight. Again, the website, by the way, is mgba.org. A lot of people listen online, so if you're down south, you can certainly check that out. Again, if you had anything to say to the Montreal Expos and baseball fans out there, and maybe even to the fans that didn't really kind of see the Expos in a competitive light, anything on your mind there?
Well, the fans that are a little bit younger, I ran into a lot of fans that are a little bit younger. I just want to tell them they missed some great baseball, because they wasn't here to see it. But the fans that were here to experience this, from 81 when Tim Raines and Gary Carter and all those guys were here till Rondell White and Cliff Floyd left, they missed some great baseball. They experienced some great baseball. And we really appreciate all the fan support that we had over all the years. I think here is definitely a big league city. The fans were great, and I just hope that baseball returned back to Montreal.
You actually overlapped a little bit with Tim Raines. He was gone after the 1990 season. What was that interaction like for a year or so?
Tim Raines, of course, was one of the guys that, helped shape and mold me too. Otis Nixon was there when I got here, and Tim Raines was playing left, and we had Hubie Brooks and Wallace Johnson in right. So I had some guys that were a little bit older than me who really molded me and showed me the way. Also, with some of the great coaches, how to play the game. And I always would try to pass that on to other guys like Cliff Floyd and Rondell White. And, that's just the baseball language that we speak. We try to take care of one another and teach and mold one another the experience that we have.
Marquis, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your stay here in Montreal, and we'll have to talk again down the road.
Yep, I appreciate it, Matt. Thanks for having me, Matty.